All right, well, welcome everyone. My name is Ezra and I work in our WGU Career and Professional Development team here. I am super excited for today's panel. I think, the insurance industry sometimes gets a bad rep out there, but it has been so innovative in terms of technology, which to me, as someone who doesn't work in the field, has been pretty neat. So I can just imagine what it's like working there. So I have invited some folks to come and share their experiences with us today. Thank you so much, Dustin, who is a WGU faculty member and also works in cybersecurity at Nationwide. We have Gaber here, who recently graduated, correct, Gaber, from WGU and is working at the Cincinnati Insurance Companies. And then we have Mike Jensen here, who has built his career in technology at the Levitt Group. And so welcome all. Thank you so much for joining us here today. And I would say let's dive in with some introductions. And I have Mike, you're here first on my screen. So tell us a little bit about you and your career and what you do.
Yes, thank you. As mentioned, my name's Mike Jensen. I'm the IT coordination manager for the Levitt Group. I have worked in the industry for about 29 years now, 18 of those being with the Levitt Group. So yes, I've maybe you could say I've grown up in the Levitt Group. And then prior to that, I worked 11 years for the local school district here in the IT department. So I'm a graduate of SUU, Southern Utah University, in computer science. So,
Fantastic. Welcome. Thank you. Dustin, do you want to take it away?
Sure. Yeah, Dustin Barker. I started my career in the healthcare industry doing some IT work. And after spending 8 years there, Nationwide Insurance came and called me and tried to recruit me over there. So took a job at Nationwide Insurance as a help desk manager and worked at the contact center there for several years and made a lot of connections, learned a lot about how the company operates, and eventually made it into cybersecurity as a SOC manager in, I think it was 2018. Went back to school, WGU, got my master's in 2021, started WGU 2022 as a faculty member, I believe. And yeah, my day job at Nationwide is dealing with everything cybersecurity operations. And in the evenings and weekends, I get to talk to a lot of the WGU students here in the cyber program.
That's awesome. And that's right too. I apologize. I did forget to mention you were an alum as well. Welcome. And then Gaber.
Thank you, Ezra. Thank you for putting this event together for fellow students. As a fellow WG student, I understand how important it is to network and be exposed to professionals in the field. I recently graduated from WGU, my bachelor's in cybersecurity as of December 15. I've been interning at the Cincinnati Insurance Financial Company for a little over a year. I started in October of 24, and I was hired right after graduation as a system admin. That's about me.
Fantastic. Welcome and congratulations.
Thank you.
All right. So my first question here is, like I said, right, when people hear insurance, right, they don't think like, oh, yeah, that's the tech company I want to work for, right? And so what has surprised you most about technology in your organization specifically? So. And we can go backwards. We can, Gaber, I can pick on you first since you interned and kind of just got rolling, and then we'll go back.
Yes. So I was changing careers. I used to work in construction before I enrolled into WGU. So I knew that any opportunity that presents itself, when it presents itself, just say yes to the opportunity because it will open a door for you that you don't know, what it might lead to eventually. So always take an opportunity if you have a chance. I know it's very hard to start out, especially in cybersecurity field, because everyone's looking for experience. So even if it's a help desk position, as you intern, you learn about the company, you learn the in and out, and you also get to network with people, vice presidents, team leaders, and you get to show your worth to the company. And I believe the most essential skill will be for you just to show your willingness that you can learn and you want to learn.
Perfect. And Dustin, what about you? What has surprised you about kind of tech in the insurance space?
Yeah, so a lot of what's already been said. Just the uniqueness of Nationwide and their technology stack is that the company turned 100 years old this year. So we get a lot of the new technology coming in. You know, AI is pretty big. I can talk about that later on if we want. But from that, just to a lot of old technology. So the breadth of technology at Nationwide is vast. I'd say, you know, also from a cyber perspective, we deal with a lot of data and a lot of regulations. So understanding the regulations that apply to Nationwide as an insurance and financial services company and translating that into kind of how we build our cyber program out was really cool and really fun.
That's really interesting. I suppose I didn't think of all of the regulations, but that definitely makes sense.
Yeah.
And Mike, you went from IT in a school setting to insurance. Kind of what was your biggest surprise or experience like?
Yeah, you know, a lot of what's been said, I would echo, but you know, when I started with the Levitt Group, what I found, it appeared that technology was moving very slowly with the carriers and companies, right? And always the challenge of how do you use newer technology, but yet still integrate with the older technology, right? But what I've seen as of recent, over the last 10 years or so, that technology is actually moving quite fast, and you know, not much different than what's out there today, the challenges that are out there in other jobs, but you know, there's a vast amount of technology moving quickly in the insurance industry that you get to get your hands around and really be a part of.
And that can be exciting, right? There's lots of
Absolutely.
opportunity there when there's, you know, change. It can be scary, but also, right, lots of opportunities. So getting a little bit more specific here, and I may not understand this, but as much as you can share, what are some of the real problems maybe you and your teams are working on, or maybe your technology departments? Again, as much as you can share, but kind of what are some of those problems just to kind of give our students an idea of what that day-to-day might look like. And Mike, do you want to go first this time?
Sure, sure. You know, I think you know, it was mentioned by Dustin that there's a lot of regulations, a lot of data that we're handling, right? And so there's always the challenge of how do you protect that customer data, make sure that you're complying with all the regulations and staying on top of that. So I think that's just an ongoing real problem that you continue to do. And with that, the increase of the desire to be mobile and the mobility and accessing things remotely. And you know, you had the day where everybody was in an office and you could secure your network internally and you didn't have to worry about it. Whereas today, which is a good thing, there's a lot of mobility that's out there. So just how do you address that? You know, the other one is how do you automate things? How do you get on top of things and integrate AI, right? AI is the buzzword out there in the industry today, but one of the challenges is how do you corral that or put your hands around that to utilize it to assist you in your job safely and wisely, right? And so those are challenges we're facing. And then probably the last that I would share is just remote employees. Since COVID, you know, our staff is probably 85 to 90% remote. And how do you integrate a team? It's one thing to be in an office and have your cubicle coworkers that you can interface with, but it's how do you mesh that team and build relationships and bridge that gap? So those would be the ones I would probably point out.
No, that's fantastic. Thank you. And we might come back to that remote part. Dustin, do you want to go next?
Yeah, I think I'll echo a lot of what Mike said around AI. I mean, from a cyber perspective too, you know, we're looking at it for personal productivity. You know, how is AI going to help us in investigations, in preventing attacks? A lot of automation that we're really leaning into, and understanding the best way to use an agentic AI solution. You know, also thinking about corralling the AI solutions that are being developed in-house and making sure that those are developed securely, no data leakage is happening, From a security perspective, how do you monitor that? Like keeping up to speed on the latest AI attacks. So that's always on the forefront of our minds coming in every day is understanding what's new in that world. And then just kind of historically, mergers and acquisitions. I know insurance companies like to expand through acquisitions, and then it's always fun to try to integrate that other company's technology into your technology and keep them feeling like they're still part of the new culture, and you're not coming in and trying to really disrupt the way they're doing things.
Absolutely. Interesting.
Yes.
Right.
Not to
David.
piggyback off of you guys, I
Yeah,
totally
yeah.
agree that there's always constantly laws and regulations changing. So it's always key for us insurance companies to always stay up to date with the latest regulation for each state. And at our company, we use AI not to replace people, but more to enhance our productivity. Our goal is never to replace employees, it's to enhance our work efforts.
Absolutely. Awesome. All right.
Can I just
Yeah.
add something there?
Absolutely.
I would also add with the AI usage, right? I love what was mentioned there, that we don't look to use it to replace people, but how do you use it as a tool to assist you in your work, right? And that's where you can really harness the power of AI.
Absolutely. All right. So then kind of a little shift here. So for especially I think students on the call who might be getting started, right? And we know that getting that experience now is so important. Have you participated in any early talent programs, such as internships, or maybe were there any key entry level roles that you had that you felt like, oh yeah, that really helped me? And if so, what were they and how did they impact your career journeys? And maybe I might pick on Gabriel this time because you went from an internship, correct, into a
Yeah,
full-time role. Maybe you can
yes.
share a bit about your
So
experience.
I started as a system admin intern. Obviously, it's not the field I was studying, but security is part of every part of IT. So, and I just wanted to put myself out there because the more I learn, the more valuable I'll be. And throughout my internship opportunity, I also had opportunity to join other clubs within the company where I could work on my other skills, leadership skills, where I could get recognized, and that helped me put in front of me my peers to stand out. And you also have opportunities within the company when you're an intern to change between the fields you are currently in. You just have to communicate. I think communication is the key for your success. So if you're not confident in something, or if you don't feel like it's not clicking, if you think you would be better in a different department, speak up, because no one else is gonna know unless you voice your opinion.
Absolutely. And sorry, I just to a little bit elaborate on that,
Mhm.
right? With the Cincinnati insurance companies, they posted one, right? Like it's like spring or summer technology internship, right? And it was like
Yes.
you applied to one thing. It wasn't they were very specific about we are looking for this one thing. It was just
Exactly. So
you
it's
applied.
usually broken down into like technology, business, and financial. And I applied within the technology field. Obviously, there's different departments that put out headcounts that they want to work with interns throughout the summer. And based on what you tell during your interview and how you do your interview, they'll be able to help you put in the right team.
Perfect. Thank you. All right, Dustin, what was kind of your experience, entry level, how you kind of got started?
Yeah, I got started a long time ago. I started working at a call center taking help desk calls for a southern internet service provider using dial-up internet, working overnights. So that was a really interesting experience. But it kind of catapulted my time in the different contact centers, working my way up to leadership. So I haven't had any experience as an intern. I've worked with many who have come through my teams and on a rotational basis, both within the company and people going through college. And I think it's a great opportunity. I think anything you can do to pick up, we call it business acumen nationwide. What you can do to learn more about how the business operates is going to make you more successful in helping to either support it through technical solutions or secure it through technical and just security solutions, different controls and things like that. So big proponent. Anything you can do to get your foot in the door in one of those positions, lower level positions, take advantage of it, work the grind, and then, just seek out opportunities, network, and just learn as much as you can.
Absolutely. All right, Mike, your turn.
Yeah, I appreciate the thoughts here. I'm a product of this, right? As I was ending my college career, I approached the IT department in the school district and said, "Hey, do you have anything? I want experience. I want to be exposed to as much as I can." And even to the point that I said, I'll do it for free. You don't even have to pay me. Just give me an opportunity to be a part of things. And so after a few visits and reaching out multiple times, they ended up opening a position for me part-time to allow me to come in and be a part of that, which ended up turning into a full-time position with the school district later, and started me on that path, my career path. And I think, I'll just echo each of you are in the driver's seat, so to speak, for your career, and just do everything you can to be successful, to get yourself out there, get the experience you can, so that you can become a resource to companies. That's, we'll speak more about this later, but that's what's going to draw you to companies when you can show them that you understand what you're talking about versus speaking book smart, so to speak. But yeah, it's just taking every advantage you can, an opportunity to be a part of things.
Yes.
Absolutely. Yeah, go ahead.
Adding to that, I think a lot has to come down to networking as well. It's not necessarily about what you know, it's about who you know. So always put yourself out there. I know it's hard for some people. I'm an introvert myself, so I'm not a social butterfly, but you will have to learn these skills in order for you to be successful. You'll have to speak up. You'll have to network if you want to be noticed and seen.
Absolutely. I think that's really good point there. And that does leave us, this kind of leads us into our next
Sorry.
question, right? Which is, what do your organizations look for in tech candidates, right? And maybe it's for your team, for the two of you that, right, are leading some teams, or maybe you've heard some things, right? But what are they looking for? Like, what is it on that resume that really makes somebody stand out and be moved on to the next level, right? So Mike, do you want to go first? We'll go back around.
Sure. I think from our advantage point, we're really looking for those that are critical thinkers, right? They can think outside the box. I spoke to being book smart. There's one thing to study and to memorize things in a book, but the key is how do you get your hands dirty, and how do you get in and do that? And being self-driven, putting yourself out there and really expanding your own knowledge. You're going to gain knowledge in your schooling, and you're going to gain some knowledge in your job, but most of your knowledge is going to come outside of your work hours, when you are personally just exploring technology and implementing that the best you can in your home and wherever you are, to just really understand that technology. And that's what we're looking for, is people that can look at a situation and step back from it and go, okay, what is the right solution here? What's going on? How do I approach this? And being able to really troubleshoot those things. And then the other piece is the interpersonal skills, the ability to interact with people, and to I know that's hard at times, as was mentioned, but that's important, right? A lot of your entry level positions are probably going to put you in a position where you've got to communicate with people and interact with people, and that is a very important piece and aspect that you'll want to have, to be able to build that and figure out how that communication looks.
Absolutely. All right, Dustin.
I think somebody fed Mike my notes, because I think he literally said exactly pretty much what I was going to say. So I'd written down some aspects, and what I'd written down was learning agility, right? So people who can rapidly learn skills, and whenever I say rapidly, I don't mean plug yourself in like the Matrix, but they have a means by which they can learn, and they've shown the ability to do that. Puzzle solving, it was always fun whenever I'd be interviewing people, and I'd ask them what they like to do in their free times outside of work, and often I would get, I'm a gamer, or I like to tinker in my home lab, or whatever, and I would ask them probing questions on, well, how did you learn that? Did you go somewhere and were you taught, or did you watch YouTube videos? Like, how do you figure these things out? And we have a lot of had a lot of success in a cyber program with those people who like to solve puzzles. It's so funny how many people, they've actually play board games, or like they do something that's very creative outside of work just to keep their mind sharp. Mike, I think, also talked about experience. So I read a book once and it said, what was it? Theory plus experience equals knowledge. And I always looked at schooling and certifications like that's your theory, but how can you get that experience? And I don't think we live in a world anymore where there's a lot of barriers to testing things out on your own, right? Used to, with a home lab, you'd have to go out and scrape together some hardware, and you'd be out a few $100, and now you can download a virtual machine and run it from your tablet, right? And practice attacking things. So anybody who can come to me and talk about their home lab or in a security field, they'll tell me how they set up open source solutions at home and they're monitoring their network traffic. Like, that was always something that really intrigued me, somebody who's really passionate about it. And yeah, just overall making those connections, networking. In the cyber field, there's a lot of local clubs, at least around Ohio, that you can go and join and learn from other people, other practitioners in the area. So I just really had great success working with people who just own their career, own their education, and were just very self-driven.
Great. Gabriel?
And one of my other recommendation would be for people who are changing careers. It's hard to find out what to put on your resume when you're starting out because you might not have the qualifications that they're looking for, but you have to kind of learn what skills you have used and how you can put that on your resume, because you may have some of the skills that they're looking for, you just don't know it yet.
Absolutely, those transferable skill sets, right?
Exactly.
Yes. All right. Let's see here. Okay. And then how easy is it to move between some of your more technical roles into and grow into leadership, especially within insurance and IT? And what does that career mobility look like? And I think there was a question in the chat too that, how do you move up from that help desk? Like, how do you, to Gabriel's point, how do you maybe, um, you know, talk yourself into some promotions or something, right? What does that mobility look like?
For sure. I think the biggest key is communication. So we have resource managers and we have service managers. So they'll work with you because they want to keep you. They're not trying to get rid of you, because they know you're a valuable asset to the company. So they would rather move you if you're not happy within your department, or if you think that you have outgrown the field you're in. So just communicate your needs and what you want, because they will not know, because they work with hundreds of other people.
That's really good advice. And that's specific to your company right now.
Yes.
But most companies will have, I know, like even WGU has a whole helping you plan your career, right? And so I think that's really great to look into. Dustin?
Yeah, I think Nationwide has a very people-centric culture as well, so they love to grow their leaders from within. So, I mean, I think one of the questions was is it easy? And I don't really think it's easy. I think some of the things that you've got to show are just the tenacity. I looked at reflecting on my own career. I didn't come into this field wanting to get into leadership and be a director of threat teams, but in retrospect, I think about how I got here, and it's really problem solving and offering solutions that are well thought out, right? So if you go into like leadership studies, there's transactional and there's transformational leadership, and transactional is more of a transaction. Hey, I'm here to build X number of widgets per day, and transformational is more of along the lines of, I know what the end goal is, but nobody's telling me how to get there. And I feel like if you can show innovation, creativity, a willingness to lean in and solve problems, if you're a good team player and you can provide some niche on the team that other people can't, that's always made me stand out. And I can't say enough about the networking. I wouldn't be where I'm at today without peopling. I know a lot of the cyber folks. A lot of folks are introverts. I also am an ISTJ and don't like peopling, but you just got to force yourself through it and figure out how to build those relationships with the people who know the people in your organization.
Absolutely. It's a skill set, right? You can
Mhm.
work on it. Mike.
Yep.
Yeah, I think obviously some of that growth is dependent on the size of your company, the growth of your company, right? You may be in a place that, my prior location was, or my prior job, I hit a point where there was no more growth, right? And so there was an opportunity that came up with the Lever Group, which led me to that. But I think one of the things I would point and add onto this is there's being a boss and there's being a leader, right? And I think some of that starts with being a leader within your team. Doesn't mean you're the boss of people, but how do you lead within the team? How do you become that person that is just driving things and really helping push the team to be better and moving things forward? I feel that those on our team, those are the ones that stand out to me and to our management team, are those that are willing to try to pull teams together, move things forward, being willing to take opportunities and seek opportunities, right? See what's out there and watch what's going on day to day and find those opportunities and seek them, go get them, right? Communicate that. That's really what's going to drive you to be a leader of a team or move into management at some point. You create those opportunities. So go find them and seek them out, right?
Absolutely. All right. Gabriel.
Yes, I wanted to add to that. I
Yeah.
agree. As an intern, I had an opportunity to join a club within the company, Toastmasters, where I got to practice on my public speaking as well as leadership roles. So that helped me put in touch with other leaders within the company and other members. And I think it's also important to work on your soft skills, not just your technical skills, in order to be successful, which is
Absolutely.
often overlooked because everyone's looking, certs, labs, but you also need soft skills because you'll be working with other people. You have to be a team player.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think too in tech, right, being able to explain very confusing things to someone like me who
Yes.
does not, right, have that background. And so as you're working with, right, product owners or all these other kind of cross-functional teams, you have to, right, be able to communicate. So no, that's fantastic. All right, I'm gonna save kind of my last question for the end here, and dive into the chat. I know there was a good question in here from Peter. As someone who currently works in health insurance and has a vast knowledge regarding health insurance in general and going to school for cybersecurity, would it be worth sticking in the field given my knowledge that he already has? Or I suppose the other side of that would be pivoting. What are kind of your thoughts on, and we can make this broader too, like, do you really have to have a background in insurance, or what does that look like? What can help you maybe if you're looking for being in that field?
Maybe I can go first if that's
Yeah,
okay.
please. Mhm.
I would say the answer to your question is, do you need a background? No, I had zero background in insurance, right? When I started here. I think that's part of what's going to make you a valuable member of your team is your willingness to come in and learn and understand the company. I think it was mentioned by somebody earlier but that's critical, right? How do you understand the people you work for, work with, and support, and what the business is and how it happens, right? How it functions, because that's probably one of the challenges we have too. Is we have some of our team that comes in and they're just very heads down, IT, trying to get through the numbers, and that holds them back because they don't step back to understand who they're serving. and who they're supporting. And I think that's critical in that. So as far as, because you're in there today, do you stay there? Yeah, you've got some background that's built you there. But I wouldn't pigeonhole yourself there, right? There's many opportunities out there. Seek what comes your way and jump on it.
Absolutely. Dustin, Gabriel?
Yeah, I'll just kind of add on with cyber. It's interesting because whenever I had my first stint at college back in a long time ago, I thought I wanted to be a biology major, and then I got about a couple of quarters in and thought, or semesters, and I thought, man, I'm gonna have to read up on like the latest science every day. Like, I don't want to do this. This is crazy. Let me just go work at the call center. And here I am in cyber, where you have to read up on the latest cyber threat every day. And my Twitter feed is full of just InfoSec professionals and constantly keeping up. So, my question back to the asker would be, what's your passion? Is cyber your passion? And if it is, then you got a great start, knowing the healthcare field. If it's not, though, I mean, it's just an internal question you have to ask yourself. I mean, I've had so many people want to come and shadow with my teams, and they think cyber is they watch whatever all the hacker shows, and they think that's what they do all day. And it's whenever they learn that we sit and stare at logs, and investigate, and often go into questions that don't seemingly have an answer. That's not for everybody, but if you are super passionate about it, then heck yeah, I'd say stay with it and run with it as far as you can.
No, that's good advice. Gabriel, anything else to add?
Sorry, could you repeat the question? I was just in the chat.
Yeah, no, you're good. I know there's lots of
Yes, I'm trying to reply to
conversations
some
happening.
people.
It was about the students in health insurance specifically. And so does it, make sense to stick with the field or,
I
pivot
think
or
as long as you can find how you can pivot, how you can use your experience from health insurance or healthcare, and how you can transition it over to the field you want to go into, because technology is in every part of our life. So there is always overlap. So it's not black and white. So you can transition. You just have to find the right way you can transition into and use your experience. You might start out on a lower position from your previous job, but you can work your way up there.
No, that's great, especially if you do want to switch industries.
Yes.
Perfect. And then there was another question, and I'm sorry, I should have bundled these kind of together, but someone who's a claims adjuster, right? So someone who is working in insurance, but wants to pivot maybe to, and this one is specifically cybersecurity, but right, the IT side. Any advice or recommendations or skills maybe they should definitely highlight? Because I think there is some value there, right? To Mike's point about having some knowledge of the business, right? So thoughts on pivoting from a claims adjuster role to the tech side?
I think it goes to Dustin's comments, right? What do you love, right? What's your passion? Because you're not going to be successful if you're not in a career where you have passion. We see that all the time. We have people in the industry and in our that's come into our team at times that they have no passion for IT, and or cybersecurity or whatever it is, and because of that, they don't excel. It's really where your passion is.
I know some folks who are claims adjusters, and some unique things they're trying to solve now is a lot of the claims are being submitted via pictures, and they're not sending claims adjusters out any longer. So a problem in the field to solve is determining which of these claims pictures have been AI altered, right? So there's a lot of fraud happening right now within the industry of people sending fraudulent claims using AI. So a niche for somebody who's a claims adjuster might be to start to lean into some AI and understanding how those types of tools are being used to identify manipulated images. Lots of stuff out on YouTube on that.
Yeah, that is really interesting. Okay, good to know. Gabriel?
I don't know anyone from claims, unfortunately, that I could add to this subject.
No, that's okay. All right. Let's see. There was another really good question here, I think, following some of what we've talked about, right? So we definitely see, right, there's that need for communication skills and problem solving and critical thinking, right? What we call our power durable skill sets, right? But how do you show that on a resume? How do you, because that resume, right, is that first thing that recruiters see or hiring managers, right? So how do you show that in your application so that you can get to the conversation part? Any thoughts or advice or things that you've seen that have maybe stood out to you?
One of my
Um,
biggest,
Go
go ahead,
ahead.
Dustin.
No, you go ahead.
One of my biggest suggestions would be is try not to put everything on your resume. Focus on things that relate to that job, because some of things work experience we put on the resume might have nothing to do with the current job you're looking for. So try to tailor your resume to each application.
No, it's
Yeah,
definitely a good one.
agreed. I don't know. I'm pretty picky when it comes to resumes. So, the Microsoft Word template ones that come through that show they're not very creative, right? They're a template and just black and white and kind of boring to look at. So I always look for something in a tech field where, maybe it's, there's a splash of color on it. I looked for like action wording and like
Mhm.
leading off some of the bullet points. I looked for anything that was quantifiable. So if somebody could say in my previous role, I reduced cost by 5% by doing this. Um, so those are just some of the things that make things kind of stand out to me. So if you're sorting through a stack of 50 resumes and you have one with a splash of like your company's colors on it, and then all of a sudden you start to see cost savings and, projects that they ran with and some of the certifications, and those always kind of bubbled up to the top for me.
No, that's fantastic. Like,
Yeah, I don't know that I have a lot to add to this, but I think, I'll just echo that. Put on your resume what makes you stand out, right? What will cause the people that are reviewing those applications to stop and go, oh, what about this person, right? So that's what I would just add there.
Yeah,
no,
just
that's, yeah, go
kind
ahead.
of to build on the first comments too, right? Just the reality is there are a lot of companies who use software to screen these resumes. So keywords from the job description, making it to your resume, um, that might help because just you can look up in some of the software and how it works, but a lot of them will just reject the resumes before it even makes it to a real person.
Yep. Yeah, there's definitely some ranking system there to help
Yes.
recruiters. I did drop in the chat a link to our career and professional development resume resources. For that question particularly, I always, or at least I like to throw some wisdom out. If you're not getting to the interview stage, there is a resume issue there, right? And so um, we have career advisors available who can review resumes. We also have JobScan. So if you're not sure how maybe an ATS is reading your resume, we do have JobScan. We have the premium version for all students and alumni, so you can scan your resume and see how it aligns with a specific job description, especially. So, and then I would say, yes, those bullet points, we love good action verbs. We love quantifiable, right? And really it's those bullet points where you want to show, right, that you worked on a team, that you know how to collaborate, right? That you solved a certain problem and it helped, do what? Save time on a project, right? What was that? So those are all such good tips. Let's see here. There was a question in here. Oh, okay. About software development teams in insurance. I might have just lost that. I apologize. But yeah, are there software development teams in insurance companies and how big are they? Are you hiring for software development or software engineering type roles? Are you guys familiar with it? Any of those teams?
Yeah, our company has a software development team. We do have that, and there's a need for that. Um, I don't know a lot about the team, but they're out there. They need to be there, right? Obviously, AI is creeping in there and be on part of that process. But I think if you are a software developer, harness AI, learn how to use it, learn how to control it. And if you're good in that, it's going to help you in your software development.
Good. Good advice.
Yeah, and Nationwide also has many software developers, and Strawn, if you're trying to look for the question, I didn't know if it was around security or not, but from a security perspective, we're definitely always interested in having folks with software development knowledge on the team, especially with attacks like NPM attacks and supply chain attacks, and people who can understand how these things work as opposed to a network engineer, right? It's a completely different skill set. A lot of software developers from a security perspective also can pick up and understand, at least in my experience, some of the cloud technologies a little bit easier than the traditional host or network-based analyst. So yeah, I think there's definitely a role for it in technology. And then I think it's another skill that can catapult you into security if that's where you want to go.
Gaber, any?
No, I totally agree with what you said. They all kind of intertwined. So security goes with software development, because security always comes first. Everything has to be secure. So there's definitely opportunities out there for software developers within the insurance field as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and if I could just add one
Yeah.
last thing too, I think even just in the IT field or cybersecurity, maybe you're not a software developer, but scripting and automating things are always a big piece of things. So there's always a need for people that can script and can understand that.
Make workflow easier.
Yeah, absolutely.
Always looking for ways to automate things.
Absolutely. All right. And then there's another question here, and thank you, John, for posting it twice. I apologize for missing it. But high quality projects and certifications, is that a differentiator when entry-level roles, right? We see this a lot, especially I think in cybersecurity, where entry-level roles are asking for 1 to 3, 1 to 5 years of experience, and it almost doesn't even feel entry-level, right? How do you view these high quality projects and certifications? I know we talked about internships a little bit, but thoughts on that? Have you seen some of those? Any that are better than others? Or maybe even competitions? I've seen that too.
Yeah, I can't speak for everyone, but I think this may tie a little bit back into the like getting your foot into a door in a company and learning and moving up through the company rather than coming in as an outsider. It's an obvious barrier to entry, right? I mean, you've got folks inside companies going to school for security, just like many of us are, and they're competing for the same roles as external candidates. So as a hiring manager, you've got to look at somebody who's new to security, but they've got 20 years experience working with infrastructure in your company versus somebody coming in external. So it's not an impossible barrier by any means, just acknowledging that the barrier does exist. As far as getting around that, I mean, obviously my experience was getting in the company, working my way up internally. So that's the bias that I've got addressing the question. But I say anything you can do to make yourself stand out. Some of the things I mentioned before about the home labs, right? That might be a differentiator from somebody inside the company if they don't have that, if they can't tell you how, their light bulb is talking to China in the middle of the night and understand what that's looking like. That's always something that's intriguing, but it's finding a unique way to stand out against the crowd. And I tell you, a lot of companies now with AI, with looking at places offshoring, there's going to be some things that we have to consider how we can stand out from the crowd and differentiate ourselves to get our foot in those doors.
No, that's really good. It's really great advice. Mike, Gaber, anything else to add?
Yeah, I mean, I think the standout thing is important. It's really showing somehow, and that's hard. When you're trying to get an entry level position and you're throwing a resume at somebody, it's hard to convey that. But But I will tell you, certifications are great. My experience has been that, and I referenced this earlier, that an individual can be a good test taker and a good book smart person, right? But really what's going to sell me on a candidate is somebody that can come in and talk the talk and can show me that they understand what they did, right? Versus somebody that has a certification, and then you ask questions about it, and they really can't speak to it because they don't understand that. So it's really just do all you can to get some experience and knowledge, even on your own, right? Even if it's not in a job, just go out, learn technology, push yourself, and you'll stand out as you have that.
And what I did while I was a student at WGU, I also used Reddit, for example, to talk to fellow students and people in the career field who can give you recommendations and guide. There are so many websites out there that you can use to build your platform. And once you do get to the interview, be prepared to answer technical questions, because there will be technical questions. So you're not caught off guard.
Yes, and sometimes technical assessments too, right?
Exactly,
We've
yes.
seen some of that, so take the time to do those and do those well. Absolutely. And then I have two questions here about passion. So actually, I am going to combine these two because I think they work really well together. So I know we talked a little bit about really having a passion for this, right? And so what does true passion look like in these fields? And then the other question was, especially Mike, for you, is passion something that develops as you gain experience, or would you say you had a passion for IT since kind of college and as you got into that? So kind of passion and what that looks like.
Yeah, I mean, maybe it's not really easy to explain except for just it comes to what you enjoy, what drives you, what you love, right? When you have passion for something, you're going to be eager to learn it. You're going to continue to push yourself and grow and seek it out. And yeah, I will say your passion will grow as you're within that job, right? Because I've worked in the IT field. I've been everything from a help desk person to the manager of the support team to leading the data management team, all those different pieces, right? And it's somebody that will drive, experience I will share with you. When I was with the school district, we were in the process of changing our student information systems, and we got a new student information system, and it just sat there, and the school's coming to the point where they're like, hey, we got to get report cards out. How do we do that? I don't know. And I think passion comes when you will just pick up the ball and you will get in and you will dig and understand and learn it. And that's what I ended up doing. Is I just got in and I said, okay, what is it supposed to look like? Perfect. Let me go figure it out. And I just went out and figured it out, got report cards out, and then transcript time was here. How do you do a transcript? I don't know. Let's dig in and do that, which led me to become the leader in the data management side of the world in the school district, because I just went and did, right? And I think that's what's going to make you successful in the IT field, when you are just willing to see an opportunity and seize that opportunity, and you love to learn and you love to grow and have those experiences. Because if you don't, you're going to begrudge every day you wake up to go to work, and you're going to struggle, and you're not going to grow because you're not going to have any desire to learn in that field. Hopefully that answers the questions.
Yeah, no, that's fantastic. Dustin, Gaber, anything else you want to add?
Yeah, I would just say, I mean, as a leader, I was always interested in what motivated people, right? So for me, selfishly, like my passion is providing for the family and not hating what I do every day, and being able to work with other people and like-minded people, and present other people opportunities to develop and grow. So I feel like any career you can land that supports what it is you like to do just in your personal life, if you're a family person, and you know, for me, I've got a couple of kids, and you know, I want to leave them something whenever I retire, and then something happens, you know, ultimately I want them to have a good nest egg. So I really think if you can take an overarching look at what's important to you in life and what you want to accomplish, and how your chosen career can get you there, and you know, the double win is loving what you do at the same time, you know, then you're winning at life. So it's hard to describe passion, but you know, it's, to me, it's, you know, what aligns with my intrinsic motivators.
Yes, I totally agree with what Dustin and Mike said. You have to be happy at the end of the day. So what you do has to matter. And it might not always be, you know, rainbows and sunshine at work, but you just have to know what you're working towards, and you have to put yourself out there, ask questions. If you don't know something, it's totally fine. You're not working alone. It's not all on you. You know, reach out to your team and collaborate.
Absolutely. All right, and then it looks like I have some specific questions in here, so maybe we can do this a little rapid fire. But for software development, then preference for Python or C++?
C+.
We have a C+.
I've managed to stay away from development my entire technical career, so I'm not the right guy to answer this question, but a lot of folks on my team are using Python a lot.
Okay, Mike?
I don't know that I have anything to contribute there either. My degree's in computer science, but from day one I knew that's not what I wanted to do is code. But that's what path I had and the option I had, which led me to where I am. So
All right, and then let's see here. Okay, vendor neutral or vendor agnostic certifications, which is more desirable in cybersecurity and IT? Vendor neutral, vendor
I
agnostic.
think it really depends on the company, what services they use. So if they use AWS or Microsoft, obviously you want to get something that's related to that. Vendor neutral obviously is accepted more widely. So it really depends on the position you're applying for.
Yeah, I mean, security, a lot of the certs that WGU connects students with in the undergrad program, very widely recognized,
Yeah.
vendor agnostic. You know, for me, for an entry level position or somebody coming in, I wouldn't expect them to have a lot of certs aligned to the technology we use, quite frankly, because I wouldn't advertise the technology we use externally, because I'm not going to make it easy for
Give it
folks.
away.
But yeah, so for me, it's, you know, I would look to somebody just have vendor agnostic and then come in and learn the technology.
Mike is nodding along, yeah.
yeah, I would agree with all those. I mean, I spoke to certifications. I think to me, either way works if as long as you understand what your certifications are, understand that technology.
All right. And then let's see, I think one last one here. All right, I've been heavy in LinkedIn Learning and Try Hack Me. Is it worth continuing on um, for some of those ongoing learning? Thoughts on those two, or are there others that you would recommend or have seen?
I have used LinkedIn Learning, and I have heard about TryHackMe, and I also Hack the Box. Is it great?
Okay.
Yeah, same. I'm not, I I think any platform that you can go and learn for free is a win.
Yes.
So as long as it serves up the content and it's up to date and relevant to what you're wanting to look or to learn, Udemy, LinkedIn Learning, you know, Coursera, any of these that you can get your hands on. And then, yeah, +1 for Try Hack Me, Hack the Box.
Yeah, same.
Right. And then here for my last question. What is one last piece of advice you want to leave students with if they don't remember anything else from our fantastic conversation today? What is one last thing you want to leave them with?
Mike, do you want to go first?
Sure, I'll go first.
Okay.
Yeah, first of all, I'm just gonna say, you know, congratulations. You guys have chosen a wonderful career path, right? There's so many opportunities in the IT industry, and so many paths you can end up in. You heard me say that I graduated in computer science. I don't even do anything with coding, but it opened the door for me to have so many different opportunities to be a part of networking, to be a part of data management, all those things. And so you're on a good path. My advice to you is stand out. Be that person that shines. Be that person that is eager to learn, eager to figure out technology and expand your knowledge on your own. The IT field is a field that's going to require a lot of time and dedication. And that's time and dedication on your own as well. So be that person that stands out and love what you do.
Great advice. Dustin, Gaber?
Yeah, I mean, I think Mike nailed it. I would just remind folks that are younger in your career that it's a marathon, not a sprint. I had a lot of folks new wanting to move up super fast, and I'd have to remind them, look, you don't want to get into your final position and have to work there for 40 years, right? It's okay, move around, learn and grow within the company, be curious, be passionate, all the stuff we talked about earlier. But yeah, just keep your eye on the prize, but you just understand that like it's not time bound in a lot of situations. Take your time.
Yeah, I agree with what Dustin said, that as young career starters, there's a lot of pressure from society to figure out what you want to do right out of high school. It's totally fine if you don't know. Just keep pushing forward. The secrets, of getting ahead, just getting started. So that's already a good start. And my advice would be, let them say no before you say no to yourself. So like if you apply for a job, if you feel like you're not qualified, it's fine, still apply. Let them say no before you say no to yourself, because you never know what opportunity might present itself.
Absolutely. That's a fantastic note to end because I do have 5 o'clock here. So thank you. Thank you. A huge round of applause for our panelists. Thank you so much for sharing your information, your experience, and kind of an insight into what you do in the insurance industry. Thank you, everyone on the call today. I did drop the link to our survey, and I'll follow up in the email as well with a recording. So you will get that. I saw someone asked about that. And then as well as the resources I shared, WGU Career Professional Development, we're here to help you along with your journey, however much help you need. Maybe it's just a resume, maybe you need some extra support. So please let us know, check out our resources. And again, thank you so much to our awesome panelists for today. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks
Thank you,
all.
Ezra, for putting this together. And feel free
Yeah.
to share my email if anyone has any more questions that we couldn't get to. You can put my email at my WG email.
Perfect. I will do that. Absolutely. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Have a great day.
Thanks.
Thank you.